Are you tired of feeling like a walking ATM on your vacation? You pay $1,500 for a cabin, and by the time you leave, you've been squeezed for another $3,000 in upcharges just to get a decent coffee or a decent steak. There are a few things that have driven the change in cruising for me. The free space on deck, or the champagne lifestyle. Yes, some oysters with champagne, followed by a perfectly cooked beef Wellington. But the biggest one for me is the friction. Nickel and diming. I utterly despise friction. On a mainstream ship, every interaction is a transaction. You want a decent coffee? Sign a receipt. You want a bottle of water? Hand over your cruise card. If you are over 50, you are probably at the exact same crossroads I am. But don't just take my emotional word for it. Let's look at the hard data. I've dropped a link in the pinned comment below to the clear State of the Cruise Industry Report, Cruise Line International Association. Download the PDF and check the data yourself. According to the report, the mass market industry is exploding. We hit 34.6 million global passengers in 2024, and we're projecting a record 37.7 million in 2025. The mega ships are getting larger, the crowds are getting denser, and while an incredible 82% of cruisers plan to sail again, the way we want to cruise fundamentally changes as we get older. I used to tolerate fighting for a lounge chair by the pool because I wanted my family to have a good time. I remember thinking, I work 60 hours a week to solve massive corporate problems. And now, paradoxically, I am managing a towel reservation crisis on my vacation. But then, absorbed in my thoughts, I'd feel a tug in my shorts. I'd look down. And there was my daughter, dripping wet from the pool. She'd look up at me with the absolute wonder and say, "Dad, did you see me on the water slide?" At that moment, my heart would melt onto the deck. The data shows that 28% of cruisers are still traveling with 3 to 5 generations of family. And it's not just kids growing up. As I started researching how cruisers change their behaviors, I realized our travel styles are completely rewritten by the tectonic plates of life. Maybe it's a new marriage, or a painful divorce, a massive career change, a cross-country move, the birth of a new child, or the sobering loss of a loved one. When these things happen, we refine our tastes. We look for new meaning and justification for why we pack our bags. For some, life changes make us crave deeper cultural and intellectual immersion. We transition from casual tourists to intentional travelers, seeking historical context. The mindset fundamentally shifts from asking, "What can I do?" to asking, "What can I learn?" The ship is no longer just a floating resort. It becomes a tool for cultural immersion and a sanctuary for intellectual growth. Sometimes life transition like a divorce or the loss of a partner puts us in the solo traveler category. When that happens, travelers migrate toward premium brands because these lines offer inclusive pricing and social spaces designed for us individuals. They crave better itineraries, longer 10 to 13-day voyages for deeper relaxation, and a community that acknowledges their specific travel style. Our currency shifts from money to time and peace. We abandon corporate brand loyalty in favor of a vibe-first approach. That is why trying the ship within a ship concepts like the MSC Yacht Club or Norwegian's Avon ruins you in the best way possible. Suddenly, the friction is gone. I sit at the bar and the barista places a ristretto in front of me before I even say good morning. Time is not spent queuing. It is spent savoring. But even the Yacht Club was just a stepping stone for me. The final evolution happened when I experienced true, unadulterated, quiet luxury. I sailed on small, all-suite ocean ships with Explora and Viking. which taught me the mathematical value of all inclusivity. There was no embarkation chaos, no aggressive waiters pushing drink packages, just impeccable service. A gentleman handed me a chilled glass of champagne and said, "Welcome home, sir. Your suite is ready." There were no velvet ropes, because the entire ship was the VIP section. This channel was born from that exact paradigm shift. I am on a mission to live the champagne lifestyle in my golden years, using data to separate true luxury from overpriced fluff. I do the heavy lifting so you don't have to. But I have a massive problem. I need my board of directors, that's you, to wave in. The can't go back feeling has officially taken over my bank account. I'm looking at spreadsheets and brochures for my next booking. Silversea, Seabourn, Regent Seven Seas, and Oceania. Go down on the comments right now and tell me, if you've made this transition yourself, which true luxury line actually delivers on the promise of frictionless peace? What is the one ship that absolutely blew your mind? I promise you, I read every single comment. If you want the insider knowledge to protect your next luxury cruise investment, hit that subscribe button. Until next time, keep your standards high, keep your luggage light, and I'll see you on board.